Hello. I thought I'd just do a weekly update on what's happened in the last week in Ukraine. This is going to use the Russian Ministry of Defense reporting. As I mentioned before, this is something which we get consistently from the Russian Ministry of Defense. They provide a daily update of what's happened on the battle line, and then they provide a weekly summary. So this is the weekly summary from the 11th to the 17th of November 2023. And it will just give you an idea of the scale of what is happening at the present time. Let's just go. Here we go on the map. So we'll start up in the Kupyansk direction, which on our map is this orange line up here. In the Kupyansk direction, units of the Zapad Group of Forces repelled 26 enemy attacks by Ukrainian armed forces and have improved the situation along the front line. Airstrikes and artillery fire defeated manpower and hardware of the AFUs. AFU is the Armed Forces of Ukraine. The AFU's 30th, 54th, 57th and 67th Mechanized Brigades near Sinkovka, Timkovka, Zagorodikovka in the Kharkov region. The Ukrainian losses totaled over 575 servicemen killed and wounded, 2 tanks, 10 armoured fighting vehicles, 11 motor vehicles, and 13 field artillery guns. The weekly number for the troops killed and wounded. The Sergei Shoigu, the defense minister of Russia, has previously reported that Russia is able to get these numbers via radio intercepts of communications of the Ukrainian armed forces. They may have other means, but this is how he has indicated they get these numbers. In the Donetsk region, so if we on our map, we move down, the Krasny Liman region, which is the lower end of this orange line and the blue area here. In Krasny Liman direction, the Center Group of Forces supported by aviation, artillery and heavy flamethrower systems. The heavy flamethrowers are those TOS-1 thermobaric weapons. Repelled 23 attacks launched by assault groups of the AFU's 24th and 47th Mechanized Brigades, the 12th Special Forces Brigade, as well as the 15th Regiment of the National Guard of Ukraine. The enemy losses were more than 1,100 servicemen, 8 armoured fighting vehicles, 14 motor vehicles and 5 field artillery guns. In the Donetsk area, so Donetsk is our blue line coming down to this yellow line, and Donetsk city here. In the Donetsk direction, the Yug Group of Forces repelled 33 enemy attacks and inflicted fire damage on AFU manpower and hardware near Marinka, Kuryamovka, Razdolovka, Andriivka and Klesheyevka in the Donetsk People's Republic. In Andriivka and Klesheyevka, which is just south of Bakhmut, the Russians have retaken areas in the north of Klesheyevka, and they have retaken apparently all of Andriivka, leaving it in the grey zone. In Andriivka, the Russians reportedly entered Andriivka in an assault and found it empty. The Ukrainians apparently have retreated from Andriivka after losing many men fighting over Andriivka over the last couple of months. It seems as though they have given up on that now, which may be a sign that they have needed to take those forces elsewhere, perhaps to Avdiivka, which is currently falling, which is a crucial town for Ukrainians to hold on to, but it is falling to the Russians at this stage. The enemy losses reported in the Donetsk direction in this week were more than 1,810 servicemen killed and wounded, 2 tanks, 24 motor vehicles and 22 field artillery guns. In South Donetsk, so here we're moving along to this yellow line along here. Units of the Vostok Group of Forces captured more favourable positions and repelled 2 attacks of the AFU's 79th Air Assault and 128th Territorial Defence Brigade's assault groups near Novomykhailovka and Nikolaskoye in the Donetsk People's Republic. Airstrikes and artillery fire defeated the Ukrainian 72nd Mechanized, 58th Mechanized Infantry, 102nd and 127th Territorial Defense Brigades close to Urgeda, Staromayorsk and Urozhno, the Donetsk People's Republic. Over the week, the Ukrainians have lost more than 745 servicemen killed and wounded, 12 armoured fighting vehicles, 15 motor vehicles, 20 field artillery guns, as well as one Grad MLRS system. In Zaporozhye, which is in the green direction here, and if you recall, Zaporozhye is where the key area of the fighting was meant to occur in the Ukrainian counteroffensive, with the intent being that the Ukrainians would push down through Robotne to Tokmak and then Melitopol and then down to the Sea of Azov. This plan did not come to fruition, and the Russians were able to hold the Ukrainians before they had even breached the first major fortified Russian defensive line near Verbova. In Zaporozhye, units of the Russian group of forces repelled 3 attacks of the AFU units near Robotne. Moreover, the Russian armed forces inflicted fire damage on manpower and hardware of the 33rd, the 117th and 118th Mechanized Brigades near Ispinovka, Malaya Tomakacha in the Zaporozhye region. The enemy, in the case here, enemies, this is Russian reporting, so this is the Ukrainians they're referring to. The Ukrainian losses were more than 425 servicemen, 2 tanks, 9 armoured fighting vehicles, 14 motor vehicles, and 7 field artillery guns. Now, moving down then to the Kherson region. Here, it's crinky here. In Kherson, the Ukrainians lost more than 460 troops killed and wounded, 2 tanks and 17 motor vehicles during unsuccessful attempts to land on the island and on the right bank of the Dnieper. I think here this is actually meant to be on the left bank of the Dnieper. In the course of counter-battery warfare, 16 field artillery guns and 1 Grad MLRS systems were hit. The Ministry of Defence also go on to report that a large number of Ukrainian projectiles, HIMARS projectiles, guided bombs, and unmanned aerial vehicles, as well as 3 MiG-29 fighter jets were shot down in this period of time. So what we are seeing with this reporting, remember this is a summary of a week, but just in very quick numbers, 460, 400, 800, nearly 900, another 800, it's 1,600 men, another 1,800 men, 3,500 men, another 1,000, 4,500, nearly 5,000 men reportedly killed and wounded on the Ukrainian side in a week. A few months ago, in some of the heavy fighting going on around Bakhmut, there was a weekly total that got up near that number. But it's sometimes insightful to look at this reporting over the span of a week just to get an idea of what has happened. Again, a large number of armoured equipment having been lost as well. Many pieces of artillery, field artillery guns, mortar pieces, self-propelled artillery pieces, all of these slowly being attrited away and no longer being resupplied. And this is a key thing to be aware of, that with the stopping of direct military aid from the likes of Poland, Slovakia, France, these NATO nations, Ukraine is no longer able to restock and replace these pieces of equipment that are lost. So we will see in the coming weeks that Ukraine's ability to sustain the front line will deplete, and they will more rapidly be forced into retreat in areas. Now, we are hearing reports of retreat in Avdiivka, where there is a large Russian focus on capturing that small city. And this will continue, because while at the same time that the Ukrainians are unable to resupply and replace lost pieces of equipment, the Russians are continuing to produce at record levels in terms of tanks and missiles and artillery, now producing reportedly up to 2 million shells, 155mm shells per year. The Russians are reportedly able to do that, with that number likely to be growing over the course of the coming year. We see that the point of this conflict is reaching one for Ukraine where they do need to begin to embark upon negotiations, peace talks, and find a way to bring this to an end. As I say, I think that Odessa is going to become key in the coming weeks and months, as if the Ukrainians continue to fight, Russia will look to capture Odessa and take the value that having that port infrastructure and access to the Black Sea has for Russia, but more importantly, to weaken what remains of Ukraine by making it a landlocked nation. All right, if you've watched it this far, I hope you're enjoying the channel. I look forward to talking to you again soon. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, share, and like. Have a good one.